Heather here at LARRS, and today we are talking about another one of my favorite little reptiles here at the rescue, Mr. Wick. Come and introduce yourself. So, it's okay, buddy. Mr. Wick is a leopard gecko. So leopard geckos, they can come in all different patterns and all different looks. He's a little bit darker of a leopard gecko. Ooh, don't fall. They have really sharp little toenails that kind of help them grab onto things, but he is very, very active today. So these guys actually come from the mountainous regions over in Asia and the Middle East, but primarily in Pakistan, Iran, Afghanistan, areas like that. So they're used to living in really rocky, mountainous sort of terrain. So they're not living in any sort of terrain that has a lot of loose dirt or sediment. They really like the rocks. And when they're in captivity, you definitely need to make sure that you're providing some sort of environment that is similar to that. So we recommend like a warm hide, a cool hide, a moist hide. These guys really shouldn't be kept in enclosures in captivity that are much bigger than a 40 tank that is going to be 36 inches long, 18 inches deep. If they get like any sort of enclosure that is bigger than that, they can wander too far from their heat source and it wouldn't be a good thing. These guys are cold-blooded just like other reptiles, and so they do need heat to digest their food. So talking about food here, these guys are insectivores. So they don't eat any vegetables. They just eat a lot of insects, some really healthy insects to feed these guys. As usual, we recommend dubia roaches because they're very high in the necessary proteins, but they have a very soft chitlin, so it's easy to digest. Some other things that leopard geckos can eat, and they absolutely love, is mealworms and superworms. So when you're talking about a gecko like Mr. Wick here, I'm going to see if I can show you guys. He is a little fat. He came to us that way. He's just a really good eater. Come here, come here, come here. Okay, so you guys might be able to see there, his body is a little bit bigger than his tail. So he is definitely a fat boy. The reason why they eat sometimes like that is because they get bored in captivity, and so you do need lots of different features for them to kind of climb around and explore inside of their enclosure. Now in captivity, these guys can live anywhere between 10 and 20 years. Out in the wild, not so much because they are prey animals, not predator animals, but they're really a joy to have around. Now Mr. Wick here, ooh, buddy, no, you got, oh. He is a bigger male. Males can actually grow anywhere between 8 and 11 inches. The females tend to stay a little bit smaller at 7 to 8 inches in length. Now I want you guys to take a look at something else here. Mr. Wick's tail, he actually lost the end of his tail. So leopard geckos do have the ability to grow their tails back, which is completely fascinating. When they're out in the wild, they can lose their tail. If a predator comes along and tries to grab a leopard gecko by its tail, the leopard gecko can drop its tail right away, and then it'll run away, and then they'll be able to grow their tail back. Tails are really important with leopard geckos because that's where they store all the necessary fat to kind of keep them going. So Mr. Wick also, you might notice, he's a little bit dull at the moment. So he is going into shed. When leopard geckos shed, they shed their entire body, all their little fingers, and they shed around their mouth and lips, in their ears, and then they also shed their eyelids. Now, leopard geckos do eat their shed. It provides really good nutrients for them. So if you're looking at a leopard gecko in an enclosure and you notice that it's going into shed And then a couple of days later, you're like, oh, it's shed. It looks really cool and bright, but where is the shed? It's because leopard geckos eat their shed. So it's kind of a necessary thing. Something that's really good to be cautious about with leopard geckos is making sure that they do have enough water. So, as with all living things, they need water. They can't exist without water. So leopard geckos, even though they're coming from those dry, arid regions, they still need to have access to water, and especially a moist hide, because a moist hide is going to help them shed on their toes when they're shedding. We've seen a lot of leopard geckos here at the rescue that have stuck shed on their toes, and their toes are not in really the best of conditions because they don't have that moist hide to help them. The moist hide helps a lot when they're going to shed and make sure that nothing gets stuck. What do you think, Mr. Wick? He is one of the tamest leopard geckos that we have at the rescue. Now, at any time at the rescue, we probably have at least 10 leopard geckos for adoption. A lot of them, sometimes they do come to us and they need rehab because they've been on the wrong substrate, they haven't been eating the right thing. Something that's very popular out there is thinking that you need to keep leopard geckos on calcium sand. And we have seen a lot of really bad cases of sick geckos who have been kept on calcium sand. So yes, they do need calcium in their diet. They do need the calcium plus D3 in their diet because that's going to help to prevent things like metabolic bone disease. But putting calcium sand in there is actually really bad for these guys because they lick everything. So they can ingest the calcium sand. What happens then is that they can't digest food properly. For a while, oh gosh, this is years ago, we had a leopard gecko named Jack, and Jack came to us and he was rail thin. He didn't have any pretty colors or anything. It was pretty gray in color. And when he came to us, his feces was full of calcium sand. So it was hard for him to retain moisture and get nutrients from his food. So we spent about a year rehabbing Jack so that we could get him ready for adoption. And the difference was incredible for how far he had come. But again, if you're keeping your leopard gecko on a loose substrate, it can be really, really detrimental to their health. Are you finally chilled out? I had him on my shoulder while I was trying to set everything up for this video, and he kept wanting to crawl down my arm, and he kept wanting to get on my back, and I was like, no, Mr. Wick, you can't do that. So this is cool. You guys probably are not going to be able to see this, but let's try to zoom in. These are their little tiny ears. I'm so sorry I touched your ear. Oh, he's giving me like a death stare right now. I'm sorry, Mr. Wick. Yeah, sorry, baby. Oh. So it's cool because if you're on like the dark side of a leopard gecko, which I'm sitting on the dark side right now because I'm in front of a window, you can actually see light through their ears. So their ears are just tiny little membranes just to pick up vibrations. They're similar to a bearded dragon because they do have the membrane covering their ear canal so that nothing gets in there in the wild. What are you doing? I think he's trying to smile for you guys. Mr. Wick is extremely photogenic. Are you so silly? Should we wrap this up and get you back to your cave? Oh, this guy's cracking me up right now. Look at that little smile on the cute little face. Oh, yeah. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for watching the video today. And please remember to subscribe to our channel. You're going to be doing the rescue a huge favor. And as always, if you have any questions about leopard geckos or any of the other reptiles that we take in at the rescue, please contact us via email or our Facebook page. We are always here to answer your questions. Have a great day, guys.